what I want you to do now, and I'm going to use Raphael's story as an example, is the first act is I want you to describe that moment even more closely. So Mrs. Bryan has talked about using sensory words, right? Words that evoke the 5 senses. So words of sight, touch, taste, hearing, and smell. And the closer you see something, the more your reader can recognize the world. The more the reader can feel what you're feeling. So, in Raphael's case, he's going to describe what he sees in his memory, or his imagination, in your case, when that house starts shaking. What he sees, what's going on with the stuff that's on the walls, on the bookshelves. What does the ceiling look like? What does his hand look like? How does he hear it? What is the sound? Is there a smell at that particular moment? So I want you to go into, I'll be with you right in a second. I want you to go into an actual instance and describe it more closely. If you already have some close details, get even closer. So like in the last class, one of the students had a sentence. Students file in and sit on the gymnasium bleachers, right? So how could you describe bleachers even more closely? Sticky bleachers, wood bleachers. So allow yourself to modify nouns and to modify adverbs. So using adjectives and adverbs. Raphael, question?
You answered it.
Awesome. So, and also feel free, any thoughts that come to your mind? Adam, anything new that comes into your consciousness, let yourself get that on paper. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes and doing exactly as Preston's doing. I love it. He's writing kind of over the sentences. You can write in the margins, or you can write a new sentence on back. All right? And when you finish your sentence, I would love it if you did some drawing or doodling, because it keeps your mind going. 5 minutes. Revision. And then we'll hear a couple read aloud. So this next revision, I want you to look in something, look for in the words that you have just written. Look into those words, read those words to yourself, and find just a couple of phrases or something that to you sounds pleasurable. It sounds good to you. It sounds like you have matched word to world, that you have made a connection between experience and the language that expresses that. Or even something that just sounds good, the rhythm of the words sound good. So just pinpoint 2 or 3 words. Just giving you like 15 seconds here. Okay, so I'm going to ask you to, this is going to be a new writing that you can do on the back of your manuscript. And so I want you to kind of clear your mind, except for that word or the phrase that you have. Let that sort of be hovering. Like maybe it's, my brother pierced my skull. That's a sentence from this book. With a dart, by the way. It's not anything dangerous. My brother, so that phrase, I think, wow, that phrase, my brother pierced my skull. I like that phrase. I like the word skull sounds. I like that very active verb, pierced, right? So have that in your head. That's what I have in my head. You have your own words in your head. These aren't my words. Now I want you to what is the first memory thinking about your words that comes to your mind. No matter what it is, it doesn't have to bear any connection to what you're talking about in your personal narrative. But it does have to be your memory. What is the first memory that's coming to you right now? It could be early, it could be yesterday. Just let it come. Let it be there. So, for some reason, when I heard that phrase, pierced my skull, I immediately got a memory of my brothers, who are older, sitting, three of us sitting in the back seat. I always had to sit in the middle on the hump, and my brothers kind of pounding on me. That's what came to my head. So now what I want you to do with your memory is to describe it, trying to use as many kinds of sense details as you can. So this is new writing on the back of your page. And I want you to describe that memory that came up. Even if it's really boring. All right, just go ahead and describe using as many kinds of sense details. So sight, touch, smell, taste, hearing, everything. So just to stay in that memory and describe it closely. Let yourself, Mallory?
What if the memory that I have of it is like what I wrote about in school?
Is it a new memory or an additional memory, or is it the same exact memory? Oh. So here's what, are there other people in that story?
Yeah.
Do you have other people in it? Okay. What you can do is imagine that same memory from their viewpoint. So we're going to work with a new memory. What's a new memory? So clear your mind and let something just come to you involuntarily. That's the best kind of memoir writing you can do, is when you let your memories guide you. You let them surface without you working to kind of pull them up. My grandma driving a snowmobile? That just came up to me. So in that memory, what do you hear? What do you smell? Don't feel like you have to write brilliantly here. Just try to get it all down. An inventory of sensorium. And you could start with the phrase, I remember. So the idea is now you have a lot of scribbling on this manuscript. And so your next draft might be attempting to incorporate the new details, our first little revision. So going back to the computer and the file, right, and your Word doc, and getting everything you wrote on the page in that paragraph. And then taking this new paragraph and just maybe try to fit it in somewhere. And use some transitional language, maybe, to try to make a connection between what is already there. It may not fit, but you have some new writing, you have something to play with. It could be a new paragraph, it could be inside of a paragraph, just you have new material. So I would love, we just have a couple minutes left, to hear, does somebody want to read aloud either what they just wrote or their revised sentence from our first little revision exercise? Who would like to? Parker. Brave soul. Parker?
All right. My spine hurt from the wind chair I'd been sitting on for an hour. My eyes surfed the room looking at my parents, to other things, in the room to look at. I was fiddling with my fingers underneath the table as I smelt the remains of my dinner on the plate.
Ooh. Very good. Let's give Parker a hand. Very good. I don't know what's around it, but it sounds like somewhat of a tense moment.
I was getting lectured.
Yeah, yeah. The remains, right? The remains on your plate. That's never a good thing, right? What's remaining on your plate. I can sense that. Well, we'll talk about that later. Thanks. Who wants to volunteer? One more. We have time for one more. Emily.
This is just what it reminded me of.
Okay.
Emily, I'm leaving. My mom called me downstairs. I've been sitting peacefully in bed with a book on my lap, about to go to sleep. The clock next to me read 11:21. Where could she possibly be going? I pulled the sheets off and ran outside my room to the banister. Your father was in a car crash, she yelled from downstairs. He's okay, but I'm leaving now. I'll call you as soon as I get there.
Wow. Very good. Let's hear from you. Very tense moment. What are some of the little micro details, though, aside from the car accident and the running, that really help us envision the writing? Skylar?
Like the clock read instead of saying like it was 11.
Yes. Yes. Very good. The clock read. The detail with the sheets, right? What was the detail with the sheets?
I pulled the sheets off and ran outside my
I
room.
pulled the sheets. That strong action verbs. Strong action verbs. Very, very, very good. So, so our time is almost up. I wanted to just very briefly let you guys know that at our university, we have a workshop for teen writers and artists in the summer. It's a day program. I think it's pretty affordable. We have scholarships. So if you guys really like writing, you might pick up one of these. And just to let you know, I think that I'm going to probably be coming back at another point this year. So I'll see you guys again.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for being great. Audience.